Yo, what's good, guys? Back with another one today. Wanted to do a little reaction vid on this short I found that I found to be very interesting. So let's just play it and then get into it.
Does the wage gap exist?
I just think you're
Can I say
brainwashed.
something?
You think I'm brainwashed?
I think that there is a lot of expectations for women to behave a certain way.
Are there not expectations for men to behave a certain way too?
Yes, there are.
I would almost argue it's easier to start a business in America as a woman. You have preferential treatment when it comes to loans, preferential hiring processes. Literally just because you're a woman, women are the majority of college graduates. Life being a woman, I feel like in some ways kind of life on easy mode if you play into the corporate structure. They literally have empowerment programs that they don't allow men, let alone straight white men in. There's literally a multi-billion-dollar corporate push to empower women. You know, you think I'm brainwashed, you can think that, but you also espouse an ideology that you can't even give me literally one example why you actually believe it, let alone define it, but you just slap that label on because that's what mainstream society's told you to believe. So I think you're actually the one who's brainwashed.
I'm brainwashed.
Girl, you are so nice.
Thank you. So does the wage gap exist?
Interesting video. Let's get into it. So the first thing, the woman we're looking at right now is absolutely based, and she's correct in every single way. And the one that called her brainwashed is actually the one that's brainwashed in this scenario. So here's the thing. A lot of NPCs these days, a lot of females like the one in black clothing, what they do is they have a lot of opinions, they have a lot of thoughts, they have a lot of stances in society and what they think and what they believe in, but they don't know why they believe these things. They don't know why they have these thoughts. They don't know why they have these opinions. Whenever they're challenged to defend these stances and these opinions and these values, they really don't have an answer. They can't really define it. They can't really say why they're thinking the way they think. They just think it because they've been told to think that. So they've been told by society, by the corporate agendas all over the world to think a certain way. And whenever they're challenged on that certain belief, they can't defend it. One very specific example is people, mostly females, primarily females, that have been calling Andrew Tate a misogynist. This is a prime example. A lot of females have been calling Andrew Tate a misogynist. And whenever they're challenged on that opinion, what does misogyny mean? Can you define it, please? Just tell me what that word means. They don't have an answer. A lot of them don't have an answer, or if they do have an answer, they give a false definition that is not even correct. Misogyny is quite literally having hatred towards women, literally hating women. That's what it is. Misandrist is the opposite. It's women hating men, which I would argue there are far more misandrists than there are misogynists in today's day and age. There are far more women that hate men and like to act like they feel oppressed or are oppressed, when in reality they are not oppressed. There is not a single right that men have that women do not have in today's day and age, especially in the majority of the world, in most of the first world countries and most of the countries as a whole. And you know, when they're challenged on certain beliefs, they can't defend them. So they say things like, oh, you're brainwashed, or you're a misogynist, or you're this and you're that, you're racist, or whatever it is, and they can't actually defend their argument. They've just been given a bunch of arguments to have, or a bunch of opinions to have, but they can't actually argument for these opinions. That is the actual reality of most people these days. They are true NPCs. They adopt agendas and opinions and stances from society, and they don't even know why they do it. It's just an NPC mind, following the herd. Everyone thinks this way, so I'm going to follow them, and I'm going to think the way they think. So I just found that very, very interesting. And, you know, this woman right here, she's absolutely correct. You know, men, we live life on hard difficulty. Like, life is actually extremely difficult for men compared to women. I mean, we all have our struggles, but if you want to look at, men making it in today's day and age and truly making a name for themselves and making a lot of money, it's far harder than for a woman to do that. A woman can get a lot of attention for very minuscule things, just for the reality of being a woman. I mean, just look at OnlyFans these days. OnlyFans is booming. It's a booming business. Women are literally playing life on easy mode. The women getting on OnlyFans and bragging about all the money they're making is a fucking joke. It's an absolute joke. They're getting on OnlyFans, they're bragging about the money they're making. They're like, oh, I make more money than most men. Of course you do, because you're selling yourself online. And we know how many simps there are in this world. How many men that are mentally weak and, put women on pedestals and will literally simp for them and pay them thousands of dollars just to see them nude. It's crazy, And another thing I want to talk about is what's written in the title, or not in the title, in the caption, or like in the middle of this short video, right? Talking about the wage gap. So this short probably has a context, or it most likely has a context to a wage gap debate. And the thing about the wage gap is it's not really a real thing. Like, if you look blindly at the data of who's earning more, men versus women, in a single year, in the US specifically in this case, which is mostly where this debate comes from, the wage gap debate. If you look at it blindly like that, of course men make more than women, but there are so many factors that are not taken into consideration when looking at these at this argument and at this debate. The reason men make more than women, not accounting for any of the other variables that come into play, is because men are usually the ones that are very persistent on asking for raises. Men go into more difficult jobs, more demanding jobs that pay more. Men do not take as many sick days as women do. There are so many reasons as to why this is the case and why men are making more in a single year in general as opposed to women. It's not because they are favored in their sex and because they are men and women are women. It's not because of that. It's because they work longer hours, they take fewer sick days, they ask for raises more frequently, and they go into more difficult fields and more demanding industries. And this is the reason they're paid more, because they deserve being paid more for all these reasons that I just stated. That's something that this study is not taking into consideration. They're just taking men and women and just blindly stating the fact who's making more. They're not taking any factors into consideration. And that's where this debate comes from and where it originates from. It's not really real. If you look into the data and why men actually make more than women, you'll know exactly why. We men, we don't complain and talk about why women make more than men do on OnlyFans, It's pretty obvious why women make more than men on OnlyFans, because female beauty is high, like it's more valued than male attractiveness. If you compare female beauty to male attractiveness, it's a huge difference. Women are far more valued for their looks than men are. So automatically they're gonna make more doing OnlyFans. And we're not complaining because of that. It's the same thing with modeling. Modeling is mostly dominated by women. Most models are women and they make way more than men do. Victoria's Secret models and most, cover models are female and they make way more than men. And we're not complaining about that. Then we have women complaining about why men make more in male sports than women do. Of course, that's the reality. Men make more in male sports than women do in their certain sport field, right? But there's a very specific reason for that. They sell more tickets. They have better marketing. They have more viewers. They have more sponsorships. There's a reason they make more money. It's because they deserve more money. But why do they deserve more money? Because men are physically superior to women. So male sports are therefore more interesting. You're seeing the pinnacle of human performance when you're watching male sports as opposed to female sports. And that's the reason it gains more attention, and that attention converts more money in terms of sponsorships, ads, viewers, ticket sales, and all these things. But these feminists that are arguing for this, and there are very few feminists, to be fair, that are arguing for why men are making more in male sports as opposed to females making way less in sports, right? There are very few feminists that are arguing for that. And the ones that are arguing for that are pretty retarded because they don't take these factors into consideration. So my point is, females that argue for men making more, they're not taking a lot of factors into consideration. Whether it's a normal job or sports or whatever, they're not looking into why men are making more. It's not because they're men and women are women. It's not because of that. We're not living in a society like that anymore. There's a reason men are making more in general over a year compared to women, and I just stated the reasons. I'm not going to go over them again. And why men make more in sports as opposed to women. Again, I stated the reasons. You don't hear us men complaining about why women make more in OnlyFans or modeling, because we're not hypocrites and because we have critical thinking skills. I'm not saying women don't have critical thinking skills, but feminists do not. I'm not talking about women here. I'm not talking about the majority of women. I'm talking about retarded feminists. Feminists are stupid. There are NPCs. They have a bunch of opinions. They don't know why they have them. They're not thinking. They're not really thinking about why they have the opinions that they have because they're NPCs. They've just adopted a bunch of opinions. They don't know why they think the way they do. And this clip right here is a prime example of it, you know? Calling someone else brainwashed when you're in fact the one that's brainwashed because you think the wage gap actually exists. If you're a woman and you think the wage gap exists, you're a retard and you're actually the one that's brainwashed. And this video right here is a prime example. She, the one we're looking at right now, could actually state why the wage gap does not exist. Whereas the woman calling her a brainwashed woman could not even fathom why men make more than women. She doesn't even know why. That's why she is brainwashed and that's why she's an NPC. So yeah, very interesting video. I always like to talk about these videos and call people out on their bullshit. And I want to praise women like her because there are very few women on the online space these days that actually have half a brain and actually have critical thinking skills and can actually think for themselves and not just adopt a bunch of opinions because society has told them. And she's a prime example of that. So bless her. I wish there were more women like her. There are a few, but not enough. And hopefully that changes in the near future. But we'll see where the future is headed. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. And as always, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.